Hi, everybody. This is Glenn Ackerman with Energy Awareness Training and the Glenn Ackerman Podcast. We do regular podcasts on the subject of energy, energy awareness, healing, and everything that has to do within the wide world of energy. Before I bring on today's guest, I'd like to just give all of those of you who are new to my work and to the broadcast, just a little bit of background about energy awareness training. Energy awareness training is a methodology that I created from over 25 years of being the self-development, personal development, energy healing, and energy medicine methods and disciplines, so to speak. And what it does is it shows you how to use the energies of your body to heal yourself of anything in the past that has been dragging you down, kind of baggage or memories or traumas or anything like that, and to be able to move your energy from being out of alignment, which causes us to be distracted from where we want to go or what we want to do, causes anxiety, worry, stress, doubt, and to be able to move into alignment to who you want to be and what you want to do. So a lot of times people report having two different directions going on inside them. One part wants to go this way, another part wants to go this way. So energy awareness is about harnessing your energy, thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors, beliefs, energies, breath, all of these things to get you into your maximum energetic potential. And your energetic potential is virtually unlimited. So we're excited to bring energy awareness training to the world and to be able to use that in so many different areas. And this is why we started the podcast, because when you're aware of energy, which is an unlimited resource, which is what this whole world is made up of, you may have heard the term everything's energy. Well, that's true. Everything is energy. And you may have heard that it has a frequency, a vibration, a tuning to it. Well, in energy awareness training, we want to reveal the codes on how energy works, because our bodies are energy, our health is energy, our money is energy, our relationships are energy. But what does that mean? It means that there's more than meets the eye on how to deal with these things. And so many of the solutions that we don't have in the physical world. Why isn't my relationship working? I've tried everything. How can I fix this or get it going? Or how can I be successful and prosperous money-wise? I'm up and down with money, or I've had, bad money programming, from my parents or my religion or whatever. Or people who are seeking an expanded consciousness, people who are looking for, is there more to this life than we're living in? Is this all there is, or what does it mean to be awakened? What does it mean to be enlightened or conscious? These are some of the things and some of the issues that we deal with and that we work on learning energy awareness training. So I invite you to learn, to learn about that and expand your growth. So that's a little bit about who I am and what I do. And what I've decided to do is to start doing podcasts like everybody else, right? But what's new about what I'm doing is this is a podcast that's directed specifically to understanding and expanding the knowledge that I teach about energy, about awareness, about people, about self-development. And each week I want to bring you a new guest who is doing that out in the world in their own particular way with their own particular brand, and have a conversation of how that works and see if we can learn something and be entertained for 30 or 40 minutes. So with that, I'd like to bring on my guest today from Stockholm, Sweden, all the way across the pond, Stockholm, Sweden. Nils Rahm is a self-development coach and has a very interesting background and story to tell today. And I'm pleased to bring him on. So without further ado, let's introduce him. Nils, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very well.
Good. Thank you for being on the broadcast here.
Thank you for having me.
So if you could tell the people out who are viewing us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and let's get the conversation rolling.
Yeah, so I'm Nils, and I'm from Sweden. And I would classify myself as a self-development coach, but someone that is working with awareness and someone that is more on the spiritual side. At the same time, taking also the elements from, the material world and our logical mind and combining them. That's my expertise. So some people listening might recognize me because I used to be working in a dating company called Social Prime for a couple of years. And this is really the kind of melting pot where many of the things and the tools I have now were created in this space, in this creative space with a couple of friends, Chris Wilde, to mention a few. And that is pretty much where I had my experiences with these concepts, teaching guys how to better themselves with women in an approach that actually works, in an approach that what happens sticks. That was the whole idea. That's how we started to develop our methods of working on the inner self, to understand that no matter how many techniques I give to a guy, the same problem is going to keep manifesting for this person his whole life if I only give him an outer approach. So we understood that in order to end the cycle of things just being repeated in the dating life, we have to approach the problem at the core. We cannot just take the immediate things.
And what do you find the problem is that what's the for our viewers? What's the problem that guys have with dating?
So the core of the problem is always inadequacy, always feeling not good enough. But most people, they don't know that. And even if you tell them, they might not even feel that that's the truth, because that problem of inadequacy branches out into a massive tree. And here at the top, you have fear of rejection. You have feeling like you have to oversell yourself. You have fear of intimacy. You have fear of being sexual. You have many other problems that branch out. I would say the most common ones are fear of rejection and overcompensating. Those are probably the main two ones that I saw in the dating space.
So you're saying, Nils, that dating is stressful.
For most people, I would say.
That's very good. No one ever equates dating and stress together, and yet what you have to go through, from meeting to dating to intimacy to keeping it together. Oh my gosh, it's just one big ball of stress, it seems.
Yes. And also, I think that I'm not into dating coaching anymore, and I'm not doing it really. But the environment of cold approach is something that I've always understood. It's a blessed space, because what cold approach is, or cold approach dating, is where guys get into the environment where the feedback is instant, where he goes to a woman, and if he has some blockages, they're gonna show up in her response, and they will always show up. So it's a very potent environment for self-growth. Very, very potent.
Would you repeat that? I think that's an important thing. It's a very what?
It's a very potent environment for self-growth.
Potent environment, yes.
Yes, extremely, actually. There are other environments as well, like sales, for instance, which is something that I had some experience with as well. Sales, phone sales, door-to-door sales is also quite potent, but a little bit less, because the dating, at least for men, is usually rooted in his deep relationship with the feminine. So it is very, very like you're able to access aspects within a man that is very deep, very, very deep.
Very interesting. I know that in my work, I teach that the whole feminine energy is something that we were never taught as men, and it's another language. And if you don't speak that language, or you only know a couple of words, you're going to be in for a rude education. So it bevies. I look at these things in terms of energy. So I think you're really right on the button there when it comes to that. So somebody looking at this, is there a common thread that most men have to deal with in their dating game and in the relationship game? Because this is something that we were never taught. We were taught geometry and algebra, which we never used. But social interaction is something that just isn't taught in a traditional education sense. So, and I wonder if you could expound on that.
Yeah, I'm also going to tie it into what it is that I'm doing now as well, because the problem, for me, why I'm not doing so much dating anymore is because that was just the cover of what was deeper of what we were actually teaching. What we were teaching was how to understand your own emotions, how to understand your inner blockages and the patterns that you have that are limiting yourself. So in terms of the problems with dating, what I see is that men, they haven't learned how to handle their emotions. Now, this is true for women in a different sense. I see women are, in my experience, more overwhelmed by their emotions. So, but men, what I see is that it's a clear path where the logical mind is closing the door way too often and not understanding that these emotions are actually a very valuable aspect of themselves. And if you're able to handle them, they offer a great intelligence. But for someone who is very logical, they will take this part and think it's a crazy side of them. Let's push it down. Let's push it away. Let's not deal with that. But the problem, like I see, is that it doesn't work, and it manifests when you push away the emotions. They manifest in problems, but it's more sneaky now. It's you're being deceived in so many ways by your own emotions, and this is what I saw in the dating space, and also what I see in the coaching space I am in now. Like all of these ways which they're struggling with all these problems, and I can see, it's because they push away certain aspects of themselves. Now these aspects are rebelling and creating all of these other problems, which are just symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's so true. You make an interesting point when you say your emotions can turn against you. Because in my work, I actually teach that there are energies that are for you and there are energies that are against you. And that's kind of a new concept, because I don't think we ever really thought, wow, I've got energies that are for me and against me. And, it's so foreign. And yet you discover that, I've discovered that. It's crazy, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. I think on a deep level, if we're talking someone who is very into the work of awareness, there is a process of surrendering, which you can convert any energy to work for you, I would believe. But if we look at it, someone who's just coming into the space, it can be very hard. So in my opinion, it's better to look at it to, like you said, that there are emotions and energies which are more at the rhythm of you, and some that are completely off rhythm, which they will shake you up,
I found that it's so interesting. So many men get into self-development from dating. Yes. I know, it was one of the things that interested me, because, when any man wants to improve himself, he naturally wants to be better, with the ladies also. And if you haven't had any training, or if you have bad role models growing up, you got some work to do. So I'm wondering, how do you transition, or how are you transitioning from dating coach into self-development coach?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much doing the same thing, but I'm not using the dating as the medium anymore. And I'm not doing it live at that sense. It's mostly online. But I'm working at the same. I'm looking at problems which could be around career or just social problems or type of problems where someone just feels stuck and they don't know really what to do, and there's no one to go to because no one offers a service how to help a person to not be stuck. Like he just feels stuck, he doesn't know where to go. So that's also a big part of what I'm working. But the transition has, in the beginning, most of the people that I was coaching was people that either knew me or had taken coaching from me before. But now we did more the self-development work and the work on the self-esteem alone, instead of the self-esteem put against the basically the self-esteem with women. Now we take it more general approach.
Mm. Mm. Okay, so when someone hears about you and they say, oh, he was doing, they knew he was a dating coach, and they're still interested in that, but what would you tell someone who's coming from a dating niche, and what would you tell him to be able to expand his consciousness or move in the direction that you're doing?
Yeah, so you mean someone who's in the dating space but who wants to kind of progress past it, or you mean someone who wants to go deeper into the dating space?
Yeah, I'm thinking just like you've made the transition.
Yeah, I understand.
How you help that with the people who work with you or your students.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing for these people is what I did is I really looked deeply into what it is that I actually want. And when I did that, I understood it didn't have anything to do with women. Women was the thing on the outside to try to fill certain conditions so that I could feel
maybe a little bit.
Of course. There was also a bit, but it was not this huge thing, which I made it out to,
Yes.
and made my whole life about it at one point.
Right.
So by sitting down and questioning myself, this happened because we developed some methods of journaling, specific journaling for awareness. I was doing that a lot, and it became more and more evident that I'm not interested in this area as much anymore, because I can see the underlying desires. It's not this, it's something else. It's to go deeper into myself and to explore the more spiritual dimensions of life. So that's the most important thing, to be able to sit down, question yourself, and ask, what is it that I actually want out of this life?
Do you find that the term spiritual can be intimidating or offsetting for men?
Yes.
And how do you deal with that?
I never write it, or almost never write. I wouldn't do like a marketing thing about spirituality because it's too misunderstood. It's only something I would start speaking about when someone understands what the work is about. So I understand spirituality has been like one of the most corrupted terms that I know of. Yet the type of spirituality I'm talking about, I can really only call it spirituality, at least if I'm trying to define it, because it has to do with these things which are not material, which helps people to elevate their life in a way where material is a bonus, not the main thing.
That's a new perspective. It's a very new perspective. Beautiful. Well, if you had a message, let's say you're this podcast is going out to millions of people. I don't know if they're going to watch it, but at least it's going out to millions of people. And you had a message that you wanted to let them know about what you do and who you are. What would that be?
Okay, so basically what I do is that I'm working with people in order to release blockages that they have, that is mainly translating into a higher level of self-esteem. So what I'm looking at is that people don't understand self-esteem is not a value which can fluctuate. It's a constant. And this can either be blocked or unblocked. So what I'm doing at the core is to unblock this. And the last blockage of that is inadequacy. And inadequacy is the deepest blockage, which is the thing which causes all the problems in your life. If you're able to dissolve the inadequacy, you will never create any type of problem in your life anymore, because there's no source of that. So this is what I do at the core level. Of course, meeting each student on their level and speaking their language. So there's many tools for that. Who I am, I'm someone who is doing that same process with myself, and I'm enjoying more and more of my life because of this.
Nice. That's nice. I know that there's a fulfillment in working. I work with both men and women, but I started working with men. I take it it's your primary demographic. Working with men. Do you work with women at all, or primarily men?
I would say primarily men, but I'm open to work with women, and I have worked with some women.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Yeah, the ability to take someone who's just all confused about, I don't know about women, I don't know about myself, I don't know who I am. I'm just, and it's interesting where they will have a part of their lives that's very successful. I work with a lot of people who are successful in their careers, and they've gone up the ladder to what society has said for them to do. Hey, go get an education. Go get a job. Go establish yourself. As somebody in the community, and they've done all that, and there's such a gaping hole in being able to feel fulfilled about that, being able to feel fulfilled about the career and all the things that they've achieved because they did what their parents said or what society said, and yet there's a gaping hole in their inner fulfillment. I wonder if you could talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, so that definitely this gaping hole, it's something that I achieved myself because in terms of dating space and what I try to achieve in dating, I achieved everything that I set out to do in dating. Yet,
what was that?
It was to sleep with a lot of women, like specific number, and then overshooting it. It was to have wonderful and crazy and amazing experiences that would only exist in movies and these kind of things. And I did all of these things with friends and all over the world in different places. Yet I saw that in terms of how fulfilled I was, it didn't do anything, didn't change anything. Actually, I became less fulfilled because I understood this is not working. This, what I'm doing, is not working. I invested so much of my time in my life in this, but it's not working. So that was a very painful realization for me. But that's what I see, the type of gaping hole. It needs to be addressed from within. It cannot be addressed from without. No matter how much money someone gets, there will always be a feeling that you need more and more. And the same is with success with women or dating, or probably even fitness as well, that you always want to go to the next. So in terms of the gaping hole, it needs to be addressed from within. And this is what awareness is for. This is, in my opinion, what meditation is for, and these type of practices, when you try to become aware of how you work and why you do the things that you do. Because when you do that, you're able to start to understand, the whole journey, I'm gonna give it away, but the whole journey.
Everybody listen up, he's giving it away. All right.
At the end of the journey, you realize that the gaping hole was an illusion you created, and the gaping hole was impossible to exist. Yet in today's reality, this is what you experience, and this is real for you. It is actually just a whole matrix kind of coded by yourself. But you have to take the journey to be able to realize that, in my opinion.
And what a journey it is. It's funny you mentioned that, you had a certain number. For most men, that number, it just keeps going up. Well, if I date 100 women and, okay, 200, okay, yeah. 500. Okay, let me get to it. It just, and I see guys, middle-aged, and beyond, they're still trying to hit that number. The number that when I hit that number, then I can be satisfied. And as you just said, you're never satisfied whether the number's 20 or 200 or 2,000, because it's a process of deception that part of what I call the mind or the low vibration uses to try to get us to run after the carrot. The carrot with the horse. You put the carrot in front of the horse, and the horse runs and never gets the carrot.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, what took place when you actually said, "Hey, I'm running after a carrot here, and I need to change what I'm doing and move into a better way"?
So I had hints of it all the time, but I didn't look into them too deeply because I was very invested in the way I was going. I had a massive experience myself when a friend helped me through our methods to release one of my core traumas, where I started, my value system changed a lot. That was the seed for me to realize more and more that this is not fulfilling for me anymore, because I'm not chasing these women. Actually, I'm chasing just something in my mind. I'm chasing some mental idea of the feminine, or mental ideal of the feminine. When that clicked, I was like, okay, I will stop. And also, I had the experience in the last months, the last couple of months, when I was with my old company, when we were living in Poland, and I was dating these wonderful women, 4 of them at the same time. Wonderful, beautiful Polish women, but I felt I had to force myself to meet them, to not upset them. And I understood I didn't genuinely want to actually see them. It was like I had to compromise myself to do it. And when I understood this, then I said, okay, now it's time for a break. So I took a break.
Wow, I think that's so important. And with what you teach and with what I teach, when you realize there's that voice in your head that says, well, if only you could date 4 beautiful Polish women, then you'd be happy, right? Or maybe 5. Well, let's throw in a girl from Denmark. How about a few from Sweden, right? A couple of Italian girls, and now you're going to be rocking. And you come to the place where you're like, what madman is inside my head trying to convince me of this craziness? And after you do that so many times, and you come up with nothing, or you're empty-handed, or you go, hey, that's not the way it was supposed to be. What, I want my money back, from whoever's in my head here, beat it. You're taking me down wrong roads. So that's that hallelujah experience that I think you and I both share. When you recognize there's more than what that part of my brain or my mind is telling me.
Yes, definitely. I think that is a painful moment, but it's one of the most important moments, and it's the moment which, when it clicks, it really clicks. Then, even though you might be in pain because you realize how much you wasted, now there's an opportunity to change that.
Indeed, absolutely, indeed. I'm wondering, is there an end game to where you lead your students? I mean, is there a consciousness, or is there a physical mark or something that you go, hey guys, this is where I'm leading you, and this is where I'm taking you in the work? Do you have something like that you explain?
I would say the closest to that is a place where the student is independent and works with the concepts without needing me anymore. Mm-hmm. That is what I would say the end game. But in terms of the concepts, I teach them in a way that I want them to become part of the person. So it's something that keeps going as things keep on coming up. They keep dealing with it and becomes easier and easier. It's like you used to think in a specific way before, but now you're applying these concepts in a way where it's natural. It's completely natural. That is what I would say is the end game, because your life is going to start to flow and flow. And with years and years, the momentum that comes, just life will become better and better and better.
Wow. That's certainly what we want here. Can you give us an example as we're going to draw into a close here in the interview, just an example of maybe one of your favorite students and where he came from and what he dealt with and what's happening with him now?
Yeah. So I had a student who he doesn't want to be named, but he was struggling with productivity, and he has his own business. And he was so good at his business that even working just 1 hour a day, it was enough for him to live comfortably. But he knew he didn't want to just work 1 hour a day. He wanted to do a lot more. So I knew this guy. So he was asking me to work with me, and I had worked with him in the past with the dating. So now we were doing the awareness work. So I told him, okay, if you want to work with me, you have to prove that you really want this. So I told him, do 5 days of silence before. And if you succeed, then we can work. And then he did it, because the silence is a part of my work that I do. So he actually did it. And then we sat down and we worked over a period of 2 to 3 months. And he took his work productivity up from half an hour to an hour a day to over 4 hours a day, quite effortlessly, where he went 400% on the productivity and also developing. Apart from that, he was also asking me about more, his whole value system changed. Now, instead of just looking at, some business things or having these kind of more low consciousness goals, his consciousness was elevated. So he was asking me about where to find more about this kind of deep, real spirituality. And he started practicing that as well, quite effortlessly, to a point where I can see that the real fulfillment that he's looking for is now starting to show. So that's one of my favorite examples.
That's amazing. That's a great example. A great example of somebody who was already successful, and you took them to a deeper level, a more productive level. That's beautiful. That's the fulfillment of when somebody really encounters the power of energy and their own power that's kind of in there, but it's just kind of corked up. And when you show people how that works and you release what I call the high vibration energy, amazing things take place. That's great. Now, how did he find you? How did this client of yours find you?
So he knew me from before, because I had worked with dating with this guy. And we kept in contact. Actually, he didn't contact me for more than a year. And then he contacted me and he was like, yeah, I just felt I don't know who to talk to because I have this problem. And then he contacted me again. So he knew me from dating.
Isn't it amazing? I've been doing this work a number of years, as you are, and we create bonds with our students. I call mine students, clients, friends, and there's a strong bond that we create where we're a part of their lives. And I'm sure you do, as I do, have people that I've worked with 2 or 3, 5 years ago. They call back, hey, just want to check in with you. How are you doing? Or hey, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to go to the next level with you. Can we start coaching again or like this? Because they're in a different place.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding because you have to have a lot of love in your heart to do this. And I can see it, Nils, that you do. You have a lot of love in your heart. And that's what real good coaches and good teachers do. The students really don't want to know how much you know. They just want to know how much you care. And if you really care, because most men have no mentors. Grow up, if you didn't have a father who was a great mentor, and I don't know anybody, maybe one guy in my class had a father who taught him, what was up. But by and large, it's strange about our fathers. They teach us everything not to do. I mean, they're role models for don't do this with women and don't do that and don't do this. My father was a great don't do mentor, but I was looking for somebody who could mentor me. And I went around and I asked guys, there's an Army guy up the street. I asked him if he'd help me out. Another guy in business, I asked him if and I was just 10-year-old kid. I'm wondering, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with your father and how it, either good, bad, or ugly, how it got you into the work you're doing now?
Yeah, I have these very fond memories of my dad, because both my dad and my grandfather, they are in a way very good role models. It's just that I was made different, I would say. They had the very interesting forms of intelligence and expression, which is more traditional, both theoretical and practical and so on, like building houses and mining all over the world and having these things. Now, it was in my 20s when I actually realized my intelligence was more people's based and emotion based and more awareness based, and the whole spirituality. But a very fond memory with my father is, as a kid, we used to go back and forth to summer house a lot, him and me. And I was in the car and I would ask him all these philosophical questions all the time. And he would,
answers I got. Go ahead.
Yeah. He would never go and do the banter with me. He would never explore with me. He would always say, "Oh, I already finished that when I was a teenager, when I was a 20-year-old. I already thought that. I already decided." He had made all these conclusions, and I had a vow, because I felt it was not interesting like that. So I had a vow, I'm never going to have conclusions like this. I will stay open. I will keep exploring my whole life. I cannot stay and stuck in those questions.
Isn't that something? I asked my father, "Dad, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here?" "I don't know." I said, but don't you ever wonder, are there other dimensions to deal with? He goes, "Maybe." I go, "Well, what? I mean, you said I'm asking you the biggest questions in life." I said, "What are you concerned with right now?" And he goes, "Well, it's lunchtime. Let's go eat." That was my dad. What about now? Well, it's time to take a nap. But what about how does this world work? What are we doing? Maybe talk about it about dinner. It was about 6:00.
Yeah.
Guys like you and me, right? I guess you're going to have to get the answers somewhere else. Wow.
Exactly.
I guess that's going. But that's funny. I'm sure every guy has a great story with his father. My father never really mentioned anything about sex, and I certainly didn't want to talk about anything about sex with my mother. Right? So you learn. You learn from some scuzzball in the locker room, right? You're drawing dirty pictures, on the wall. You go, "Yeah, this is your mother and father." How can you not be screwed up about that?
Yeah.
Amazing. Just amazing. Hey, we're going to wrap up now. I'd like to just give you the floor here of anything you'd like to say before we adjourn, and really enjoyed this. So what would you like to say, or any closing thoughts?
I really enjoyed this talk. This was a good getting to know each other, and also sharing it here on the podcast. I felt it was very, very nice, for sure. I can say a little bit about some of the coaching that I'm planning to do, because now in the last summer, or in this summer, I haven't been very active, because I felt I had to retreat a little bit. I had to take some time for myself and to understand a couple of things and to keep developing myself. But now I will start coaching again a lot. And I will actually even offer some free coaching because I have the feeling that I want to give. I did this last year as well, and about 100 people took the opportunity. So I will do the same thing now. Even people that never know me or know really what I'm about, this is an opportunity to get a proper call one-on-one with me completely for free, only in exchange for a testimonial if the person was satisfied. That's the only thing. And after that, I will start to open some new programs that I've been working on.
Nice. So, okay. Where can people get a hold of you?
So the easiest way is on Facebook. That's either on my profile, which is Nils Rahm, where you see a picture of me in the sunrise and the beard and everything. And then the Facebook group that I have, which is called Life Awareness Forum.
Life Awareness Forum. Great. On Facebook. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I want to thank you for being with me, my friend. We had a great time here and learned a few things, had a few laughs. And best of luck on your work. We are solid in the pursuit of trying to bring healing and awareness and consciousness to the world in our unique ways that we do this. And I love featuring people who are doing similar work. And because God knows we could use all the healers we can get. The market and the clientele for needing healing is running about 3 billion so far. So we can use as much help as we can get in the healing space. And I appreciate you being here. God bless you. And let's do this again, maybe sometime up the road. A little Definitely. Bit. We'll check in and see how you're doing.
Definitely. I appreciate you having me on. And this was an amazing experience.
Beautiful. Thanks, Nils. Appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for being here on the Glenn Ackerman Energy Awareness Training Podcast. Stay in touch with us on our Facebook group and YouTube channel. And you can always reach out to me looking at the podcast here. Any questions you have, comments that you have, lay them on. We'd love to hear them. It's all about communication. And remember, nothing changes until energy moves. So let's go move some high vibration energy today. Thanks a lot, Nils. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.